more of the same tonight. But certainly the weather is perfect for this evening's replay, and we really have been blessed with ideal playing conditions this September. Now, I am joined here in the studio by Tomás Mulcahy, Gerlach Nan and Cyril Farrell. Gentlemen, very welcome indeed. Cyril, it's been that kind of drawn match, this kind of replay, but I saw earlier in the week you were tipping Tipperary. Later in the week you were tipping Kilkenny. What kind of mood are you in this evening?
Michael, aren't you very upset for these two?
You go for the draw now.
Well, that was at the Plough Championship.
That's a good start.
That was at the Plough Championship, Michael. And at that stage, I figured if Tip played as well as they did the last day, with the Kilkenny team as a thought had come out, they should win it. They played very well the last day, did everything but win. But like Brian Cody has made the switches, and he's gone for big changes really. Brian Hogan has gone for centre back now. Kieran Joyce, that's a real big call. Pádraig Welch should probably expect to come back on. John Power is a big call as well, but he's gone for broke. And like usually he goes for broke. Like he kind of, most times he goes in a gamble, if you want to call it a gamble, like he has won his matches. Now, whereas Tipperary, Eamon O'Shea said, we're good enough to win, the same 15 start again. Now, a lot of people in Tipperary would think Mickey Cahill should start, but it doesn't seem he is. So he's gone with the same 15. Now, that's saying we're good enough to win, where Brian Cody is saying, well, we weren't good enough to win the last day. One manager is happy with his team to draw. The other manager is saying, well, we drew the match, but I want to win it. Now, you'd have to say all year, Brian Cody's going into this match, they've won the league, they won the Leinster title, they're unbeaten in the championship going into this game, and yet after every game, not alone the final last day, he has changed his team the whole time. His gospel this year seems to be saying, well, the panel is the team, and it's not just 15, it has changed every day, but this is a really big change. Like, that's about 20% of the team, which is a big thing. Now, if he wins, he's the hero. If he loses, I suppose people say, well, look, they're on the out anyway, where the pressure is probably on Eamon O'Shea to win this title.
He has made those changes, Ger, because during the summer we've seen difficulties in his defence. Now, you can interpret this either one way or the other, but a lot of people are saying these changes signify a little bit of panic in Kilkenny. Do you see it the same way?
Well, I suppose it's hard to associate the word panic with Brian because, I think it's more a consistency in his beliefs, and in his actions, and nothing energises a panel of players more than to realise that they have a chance of being on. So his idea is, if you're in form, you'll get the jersey. Now, he looked at the video of the last day and he saw that half-back line was in real trouble. Because really, the qualities that you needed for a great centre-back in 10 years ago, you need totally different qualities now. Because pace is absolutely crucial. Now, the men he has brought in, Pádraig Welch has brought in a wing back. No surprise there to anybody, I think. Because Pádraig was unlucky the last day. He was really being kept because he's so versatile. He's good for the half-back line, midfield or half-forwards. So no surprise there. Big surprise in Kieran Joyce, centre-back, mainly because Tomás tells me he's only played 20 minutes and that was back last May. So that is a huge call. End of September, no championship games. I know he's played all the training. A huge call there. What qualities has he? He's big, he's strong, he'll hold the centre. But has he the pace? That is the big question about him. And John Power, terrific skill. Two sets of brothers in the forwards today for Kilkenny. Terrific skill, great finisher, but he's on. Cahill Barrett will be on him, a brilliant player. So it is, as Cyril says, it's a bit of a gamble, but he's Brian Cody, he can take those gambles.
Yes, I suppose from the other side of it, Tomás, there were 2 penalties missed by Tipperary the last day. If memory serves me, the second one of them, if they got it would have put them 8 points up. People are now asking, did Tip lose the chance the last day?
I mean, it was as near to perfection you could get from a team performance the last day for Tipperary, right? So people are right kind of asking that question, have they lost their chance? But I think when Eamon O'Shea's looked back in it, he'll be very, very positive by the chances they created. And Michael, like you take Lark Harwood's ball, inches, hitting the post, going wide, going the other side of the side in the back of the net, People said afterwards about the penalties, we got to change the rule in the penalties, or we got to go 1-1. I looked at them again. They were 2 badly hit penalties.
Right,
They're the fault of Tipperary, the fault of the free takers. The goal chances that came here in the second half, one of those went in, and it certainly could have changed the match, And I mean, I go back to George's point about Kilkenny and the mentality that's down there. I mean, you talk to a few of them down there and they tell you, 9 of our guys didn't perform the last day. They still rack up a massive score, but 9 guys did not perform. And he's bringing on those guys, the 3 today, to actually pace big time.
All right, well, I suppose the question on everyone's lips is who's going to win this match, and we'd like to have your views as well. And you can go on to our Twitter account or indeed our Facebook page to register your vote. And so far, by the way, 59% of you think Tipperary will win, while 41% are going for a Kilkenny victory. Well, you know, the rival managers, I'm sure, made every possible preparation ahead of the draw match 3 weeks ago. Then they found themselves having to do it all again. Let's get their final thoughts ahead of this evening's replay. Brian Cody and Eamon O'Shea have been speaking with Claire McNamara.
2 changes in the half-back line, obviously a key focus to keep tighter control of Tip's roving forwards.
Well, I mean, the competition's there the whole time. You know, it was always tight calls for a particular place and that. And the 2 lads have come in, very, very good players. And, you know, they were always challenging for positions anyway. So there's no big real mystery to it.
And John Power come into the attack. Has he impressed you in training?
Yeah, and going well. John played very well against Dublin as well. John's a good player. So, again, we're picking him with a lot of confidence.
Will we see more of Henry Shefflin today, or is that simply a call you can't make yet?
It's not possible to make it yet. Obviously, it depends on how the game is going and that for certain. But he's in the frame very, very much.
Eamon all set to go again. No changes. I suppose that suggests confidence in the Tipperary camp.
Yeah, well, you come to every game with confidence, you know what I mean, and see how the game goes. You know, we had a great game the last day and looking forward to the same again today, so we'll see how it goes.
Do you think you more or less got it right the last day, maybe just a score short?
Yeah, well, you never get it right, totally right. So you're looking again for a level of performance, you know, you're looking for, see how far we can get, so only time will tell.
Michael Cahill made an impact when he came on the first day. Would you have held him in reserve again?
Yeah, Mikey's going really well, so, you know, we'll see what happens today.
Amazing game it was the last day. Do you think the Tip have another gear again if it's needed, if you need to make an even higher performance today?
Yeah, well, today's game will be very different, so we'll wait and see where the game goes before we talk about gears. You know, we'll see.
Do you think it'll be as open?
You know, I think we have 2 really good teams here, and you know, the evening is lovely, so let's see how it plays out.
To find out. Now, though, it's time to get the views of 2 men who have both enjoyed that feeling themselves. Eddie Brennan, an 8-time All-Ireland winner with Kilkenny, of course, and Liam Sheedy, who led Tipperary to their last title in 2010. And one thing, I suppose, gentlemen, I should explain to the people at home is the last day for the drawn match, the 2 of you were sitting beside me, and my biggest fear was I was going to get a belt from one or the other of you. I felt like the Archbishop in the old days throwing the ball in down the middle of the field. I hope, Liam, you're all a bit calmer today.
Yeah, we probably got it all out of our system the last day, Michael. You know, it was probably needed, but yeah, like we were treated to such a game, and it was end-to-end stuff, and you felt, you know, Tipperary getting the 6-point lead, they'd kick on, and all of a sudden, straight after half-time, TJ Reid gets an excellent goal, and Kilkenny take the initiative and look to be pushing on. And you know, full credit to Tipperary, they came back and got the equalising point to the finish. And you know, I mean, the finish that we had, and everyone wondering, was it a point, wasn't it a point, with John O'Dwyer's last free. And you know, I think no one walking out of the stadium felt that either team deserved to lose the match. We were treated to a fantastic game, 54 scores, and really the game had everything last weekend, or 3 weeks ago.
Behind you there, gentlemen, we've just seen the Liam McCarthy Cup being brought onto the field by Roisin O'Mara from Tipperary and Alex Cass from Kilkenny, their big day as well. I suppose the thing, Eddie, about the last day was, as I said, it was real edge-of-the-seat stuff, and I could see, obviously, how you 2 guys got caught up in the emotion of it. Will we get something similar today?
Yeah, I think that's the danger with the replays. Sometimes they take on a life of their own, and look, I packed a helmet in the bag for you, Michael, just in case things get physical up there in the box later on. But yeah, sometimes we mightn't get the same type of game, and I think myself today you will probably see the Kilkenny defence in light of Tip getting 119 the last day. They're probably going to focus on that they're going to have to restrict them from play, and you know, sometimes we mightn't get the same spectacle, but I think for intensity, certainly it's going to be up there. It's I don't think you're going to see either sides certainly holding back today. They can't afford to do that. To win in All-Ireland, you have to go and attack it. You cannot wait for it to happen. Here's the Kilkenny lads on, and I suppose now is the time that it's been calm enough between the 2 of us here to now, but I think the old adrenaline, the excitement starts to crank up a little bit now, Michael.
Yeah, I've no question about that. Eddie, what do you make of the changes that Brian Cody has made to your team?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, you know, probably Walter Welsh and Joe Holden dropping off was probably no big surprise. You know, Pádraig Welsh was supposed to have picked up a knock in the run up to the All-Ireland, so that probably curtailed him. Kieran Joyce probably has been the big surprise because he hasn't had a whole lot of game time this year. But for me, what I would be reading into that is that Kilkenny are probably going to go man-to-man in more than 3 or 4 the back positions. I think you're going to see Kilkenny probably being a little bit tighter at the back, as I said already, and I think each back might get a different job today. They might be detailing a particular Tipperary forward, and they could move all over. I think positions in the Kilkenny backs might be irrelevant today.
Liam, by the same token, how do you read that change? Your forwards, the Tipperary forwards, got a lot of the ball the last day, a lot of scores, obviously. Will these changes make life more difficult for them today? That's obviously the intent.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. I'm not so sure Kilkenny will allow themselves to roam around the field. I think that's going to be an interesting stat. I
think Tipperary forward line managed to drag them all over the field the last day. And that was very much to the favour, I think, of this Tipperary attack, because they were able to create the space and their movement was very good. And I'm not so sure the Kilkenny guys, you know, they didn't hold their positions. I know when I go back to 2009, when I was manager, I was anxious to try and get the players out of their positions, but I just couldn't shift them. You know, they were they were planted, and when you looked across 5, 6 and 7, they were always present, and that caused us a lot of problems, I think, in 2009. So I think that's going to be very, very interesting in the first 10-15 minutes, because I've no doubt Tipperary forwards would like to get this Kilkenny defence moving and put them on the back foot. It'll be interesting to see how they counteract that in Kilkenny, and do they decide to go man-to-man, or do they decide to say, I'm playing number 5, this is my space and no one is going to invade it. So that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing, Michael, in this first 10-15 minutes.
I'm going to get a final thought from the two of you lads. Liam, you first. I know you're hopeful, but are you confident?
Yeah, look, I mean, we you know, I think we won 10 or 11 of the 15 positions the last day. Tipperary came with a plan, executed that plan very well, and just didn't finish the goal chances that they got on the day. The view is, will they get him again? You know, I feel they played really well. I think they're full of confidence. I'm encouraged to see Eddie's colours hanging a half-mast here, so I think that's a sign in itself that Kilkenny are feeling the pressure a little bit, so hopefully that's reflected on the pitch. And Tipperary maybe just a shade, but you know, it's very, very hard to call, but I think we just might have enough in the last 10 minutes to get over the line.
And Eddie, for yourself,
Yeah,
will it be cool for cats here in Croke Park today?
Yeah, quietly confident, Michael, just a little bit understated. No, look, I'd be happy enough. I think Kilkenny scored 322 the last day, enough for any team to win in All-Ireland, and I just think that they've done that with a few fellas really not firing. So hopefully today, I think it's key for Kilkenny that they don't allow Tipperary the goal chances that they presented to them to the last day, because Tip mightn't play as well today, but they could convert the goal chances, and that's the danger. So I'd be just hopeful that Kilkenny, a few more of our forwards will chip in with bigger games and bigger work rate.
All right, gentlemen, well, listen, I can't actually tell you to enjoy the match on the evidence of the last day, but certainly, can I just say to you, may the best team win.
Thanks, man.
All right, then, it's time to get confirmation of the two team lineups. So let's join our match commentary team of Michael Duignan and Ger Canning.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. The sun has come out bang on cue. Well, Michael, of course, it's not a new experience for Kilkenny. They were in a replay just 2 years ago. It's strange for Tipperary, however. How do you refocus as a player for a replay?
Well, I think it would have been difficult for particularly Tipperary going away the last day. They've been very disappointed they hadn't won the game with the last chance of the game. Kilkenny used to it, as you say, but that's behind them now. That's 3 weeks ago. They'll be well over that, focused on this evening. And there's a few changes, playing on a Saturday, playing at 5 o'clock, all a bit unusual for players, but that won't matter in a few minutes. And look, both teams look very relaxed there and ready to go to battle.
Certainly do. Well then, let's take a check on the two sides, starting with Kilkenny. And the Kilkenny goalie, Owen Murphy, more than justified his recall to the team in the drawn match 3 weeks ago, saving his team on several occasions. Quarterback Paul Murphy is another who'll be looking for a repeat performance, while veterans JJ Delaney and Jackie Tyrrell will look to up theirs somewhat. There's a change at half-back which sees Pádraig Walsh and Kieran Joyce gain promotion, while Killian Buckley remains in situ on that left-hand side. It's still Richie Hogan and Conor Fogarty in midfield, although a switch for Hogan is not entirely out of the question. Michael Fennelly is programmed at wing forward, with younger brother Colin listed in the middle and Owen Larkin in his 49th championship match on the opposite wing. And then a big day for the Power family, with Richie on the right and his brother John on the left, and TJ Reid in the middle wearing number 14. Well, Tipperary's Darren Gleeson should be a little bit more relaxed coming into his second All-Ireland final match, having performed impressively in that first game. And Cathal Barrett was another to shine, while Paddy Marr, we expect, will move out to the half line once again, leaving Paddy Stapleton to man mark back at the half-back in the full back line. Captain Brendan Marr has overcome injury to start, but James Barry is expected to revert to full back once again, with Kieran Bergen probably staying on the left flank. No change in midfield for Tipperary, where Shane McGrath and James Woodlock have produced consistently over the last 2 months. The half-forward line has achieved good productivity, with the industrious Garroyd Ryan and Patrick Bonner-Marr complementing the scoring excellence of John Bubbles O'Dwyer. As ever, Noel McGrath will seek to influence from a deeper position, leaving room for Seamus Callanan and Lar Corbett to add to their career totals of 44 goals and 162 points. And Michael, as throw-in beckons, Tip must be asking themselves whether their forwards can be as proficient again, while the Cats, having used up some of their 9 lives this summer, well, they must be hoping that nothing is left to chance this time.
Yeah, well, Ger, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put that question about the tip forwards to Tomás Mulcahy, because as Ger mentioned there, Tomás, the last day, with the exception perhaps of Garrod Ryan, who had maybe a bit of a quieter day, the others were scoring for fun on the day. Kilkenny can't let them do that again today, surely.
No, and you mentioned Garrod Ryan, Michael. Garrod Ryan was playing a different game for him going out towards midfield. I mean, look at the contribution. This is their half-hour line, and look, Bubbles Dwyer 7 points. I think there's 110 or 111 there between them, and like, their touch was excellent, Michael. Their first touch to the ball and their scoring power was just incredible. Their wrist work, their actual delivery and their accuracy. And like, when they needed to, and they went down the central lines, and this is what Tipperary need to do again, is to run at that Kilkenny defence. Take them on every opportunity. Now we'll see it coming up, and you see the inside line. And these are the guys that contributed. Noel McGrath 4 points, Seamus Cannon 7 points, and you have Lark Cobber on the other side contributing 2 points. Watch the clip now as it comes up. This is nice little touch. There's Noel McGrath. He's your corner forward. He's away out the field. The rotation of the players that Liam Sheedy mentioned about getting the Kilkenny guys out of their positions is just incredible. Here's Lar way out towards actual midfield, and he's the guy that started a corner forward. And you're going to see more and more of that for Tipperary today. The one thing though, Michael, and there is always a but at the end of this, is when they go with chances, they got to convert. I mean, Kilkenny got 3 the last day. Garrod Ryan does nothing wrong here, cuts inside to his left-hand side, a lower shot, and it was inside in the back of the net. This is the one Bonamar goes through, and he's very, very unlucky. I felt at that stage in the game, and you mentioned just at the start there, Michael, one of those goals would have been crucial to get Tipperary over the line. Eddie Brennan mentioned about Kilkenny and their defence. How will they cope with that? And I would see a difference, right? Even Kieran Joyce saying at centre back today, if it's Lark Corbett and Noel McGrath, as they have over the last day, come to centre forward, I can see Killian Buckley going in the centre back because he has pace, because he can actually run with these guys. That is the big kernel for Kilkenny. Yeah. If there is that movement, they need to get runners on runners, and that's why Padraig Welch is in the equation as well, Ger.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Ger, look, now we're going to take you up the other end of the field and ask you about the contribution. Big day, of course, of the Fennelly family, and Michael and Colin there again.
That's what Michael was saying. Where is that scope for improvement from Kilkenny, you know? And these two would generally agree that they weren't at their best the last day. Now, watch Michael Finlay here. This is not the Michael Finlay we know so well. Look at when Maher wins the ball, he just stands up, very lethargic, dead on his feet, totally unlike him, gets the pass here. Now, the real Michael Finlay would put those fellas flying out of his way and go straight through and lay off the pass or take the score. Now, in the second half, when he did move to midfield, he gave glimpses of the truly great player he is, because I believe he's the top 5 players in the country. Very creative when he gets the ball. Brilliant ball there across the Richie Power, and Richie, of course, buries it in the net. But just, you know, it has taken him a while to get up the pace. That is the whole thing about him, because he's such a big man. Now, this is the Mick Finlay we love. You know, ground-devouring strike. You know, the attitude is, I'll go through you for a shot put, and nothing is going to stop him from putting the ball in the net. That is the influence he can have in a game. Now, the same way with Colin. Colin started off great the last day. You know, he's a fierce athletic player, very, very strong. He holds the Holy that bit far away from him, so his touch has to be really good. On the days that his touch is brilliant, he's almost unstoppable. Now, I think that this incident here slightly unnerved him for the rest of the game. His touch was completely off there, tried to get it past to Michael, didn't work, and from then on he wasn't great. Now, look at what he can do. When his touch is good, like, he is a lethal finisher when his touch is good. So you would say, Michael, that if those two, with 3 weeks training behind Michael again now, because he's such a big man, had so little play during the year because of injury, the 3-week break will really have suited him. You would say if those two really come up to form today, because they are great players, then it will be very hard to see Kilkenny losing if they play the way they can.
Sir, let's talk about 2 men who had such an influential role on the game the last day. Richie Hogan, brilliant for Kilkenny. Seamus Callan, of course, brilliant all year for Tip.
You can have all the tactics you like and all the formulas, but some guys always step up to the plate. This guy, catching there, now he's not that big, over bar, left to right. You can play him anywhere, centre forward, centre field, wing forward, full forward. He just has this, like, not only is he great to score, but he's great to create as well. Now look at this, has a little hand pass here, look up, little hand pass, when he travels again, gets to a return pass, and you know in your heart and soul, just a little flick over the bar. It looks effortless, but he covers every inch of ground. He's inclined to track the ball all the time. He's always on the ball. That's what makes him great. Now this guy, Seamus Cannon, this year from Drummond Inch, he was always ready to burst through, and this year, like, from game to game, he's got better and better and better. Now the big test was the last day. Now he's up against a great player in JJ Delaney, full back. Here he kind of soars into the sky, like, you know, he's very tall, brings it down to himself, flick over the bar. it looked, again, the good guys make it look very simple. But the next shot you'll see here, JJ Delaney plays him brilliantly here. He does everything right as the full back. He turns out, JJ keeps inside, shoves him way out, makes the angle very, very hard. But Cannon, instead of going in, lies back, hits it on his left, right there on the left, floats it over the bar. He's doing that all year. And again, you're going to find today, he'll be in there a lot, his own Michael, because both the corner forwards, Noel McGrath and Larry Corbett, they're trying to go out around third midfielders. They go out. Cannon is the constant inside there. He's usually in there on his own at times, which can be a tough place, but he's getting very good at it.
He surely is. OK, the teams are almost ready to go. It's time for us to take one more quick break before the action begins. Through their final warm-up preparations ahead of this match. Will we see this man during the course of the game? And if so, at what point? By the way, Sir Fard wants this game put back by about 10 or 15 minutes. He feels there isn't enough people here.
He wants to change his mind again.
He thinks he's down in PSD.
They're giving these boys fierce opens this evening. So. I just feel there's not that many in yet. I don't know how to get on.
It's not a big Tom gig down in you either.
But it's interesting you meant about Richie Hogan. I was talking to a guy outside there when I went out to Lou a while ago, and your man says, you were blowing Richie Hogan up very much the last day. And I said, geez, sure, it was the switch of the game, putting him in centre forward. I said, we'd be thinking below in Kilkenny. He had a very bad game. He played about 20 minutes. He need to improve today. And that's the mentality down there. They feel guys. I mean, the scoring they got, the entertainment they gave us, and they're still looking for more.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's actual fact that man isn't entirely wrong. Richie was a bit quiet earlier on in the game, but he obviously put in a huge effort into it.
The big problem Tipperary have with Richie Hogan is neither of the Maher suit him. Either Brendan Maher doesn't suit him because Brendan likes to play very deep, and so Richie drifts out the midfield. He's a very intelligent player. He drifts off him, and any loose ball he's going to put it over the bar. And then he's able to outfox Pádraig Maher as well because he's very good in the air and he drifts away from Pádraig Maher. So who to mark him now?
Nicky Cahill.
Oh, well, you've said it. You know, but,
who isn't on?
But I think, Michael, the big thing for Tipperary this day is the last day when you look back on the match, Tip dictated the pace.
Yeah.
They set the pattern. They got on top. They were in flow. They could have been 8 points up. Next thing to his back, they're up. You know what I mean? Now, they wound up 4 points down, and they'll be asking themselves, how in the name of God did we wind after dictating a whole lot? And yet, to be fair, they came back to go level and could have won it. Now, Eamon O'Shea will be saying, listen, we'll do the same thing again, even just a little bit better. That'll do us. Now, Brian Cody will be saying, hold on a minute, lads. They got everything right. They played brilliant, and yet a lot of our lads didn't play up to form. Now, whether they played up to form, were they stopped from playing up to form, or had a bad day, he'd be saying, look, we're much better than that. Get our game together. We drew not playing well, we're capable of winning it. So there's a lot of imponderance in the game, and Cody has really gone for broke by bringing on the 3 players. Now,
but you see, sir, right? I mean, like John mentioned Michael Fennelly and stuff like that. Do you see Michael Fennelly starting in midfield and Richie Hogan going inside to the half forward line, and the likes of Kieran Joyce? Do you see Kieran Joyce starting at number 6? I mean, Kieran Joyce is there for me to add a bit of steel. They have runners going through the centre, and I'm sure he's going to be there to stand them up and give him a right.
He's not a fast player to us,
give him a right.
He's physically very strong. You look at the last day. We're saying going out, everyone played well. There was no body tackles. Kilkenny will make it a lot more physical, especially back in their own net back.
You'd expect them.
If Kilkenny go on a man marking policy, that means a man chase the man all over the place.
Yes.
They have to cover midfield, and in order to cover midfield, they need Mick Findlay there. They play much better when Findlay and Fogarty. They would seem to be ideal because Findlay is great at drifting back and protecting his defence as well. So they must protect that defence as well. So I would suspect that Findlay will start at midfield with Fogarty, and they'll cover that defence because they cannot leave it as open again as they did the last day.
OK, well, as you can see, Ultron Heard and Michael D. Higgins is here once again to meet the team. So for this sequence of the programme, let's go back to Ger Canning after the presidential salute. We're wondering why he wasn't selected for this replay. Claire McNamara put the point to Eamon O'Shea. He kind of ducked it a little bit. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, Michael, Mickey Cahill is traditionally known as a cornerback, maybe wing-back, right? And if you look at the Tipperary full-back line, they've done nothing realistically wrong. The 2 cornerbacks to me, Cahill Barrett and Paddy Stapleton, they've been absolutely fantastic. So he's been left with a big dilemma, right? Do I take one of these out of the equation? You can't drop any of those, to be fair, right? Who do I drop? You go further out the field, who's he going to drop? Maybe the man might have come into question with was maybe Garrow O'Brien, but he does an awful lot of donkey rough from outside in the middle of the park as well. And the school of thought, Michael, you mentioned Michael Cahill, is that he would pick up Richie Hogan. And if Richie Hogan goes into the front row of the Hogan stand, Mickey Cahill is going to be with him, right? Because he had such an influence in the second half period again. If that does happen, you're going to see Mickey Cahill maybe coming onto the field a lot sooner than we actually did the last day.
And the other big question, Ger, of course, is Henry Shefflin. What role is there for Henry today in this match?
Well, when you see a 35-year-old, if you're a 35-year-old, and any person we were 35, you sit above in the stand for an hour and a quarter, and you're asked to come down last 4 or 5 minutes. The game is already up to full pace, 100% pace, and you cannot be expected to be effective if you come in that kind of scenario. So I do think that if he's bringing him on today, it'll be even closer to the end, or else much sooner.
Yes.
Much sooner. That is the only way. I thought today he would start Henry and do like Mickey Hart did with Peter Canavan. You know, just put him on, see how he goes, maybe take him off again. But obviously he hasn't done that, but he'll have to bring him on sooner today.
All right, sir, you've had a week and now another hour to finally make your mind up.
He's changed it again.
It's a hard one to call.
Yeah.
Tip, I'd have to get at this fella. He told me earlier on that Tip had no iron or steel or anything this year. He had them written off already.
This is Gerlach Man, by the way.
This is Gerlach Man.
But I suppose it comes down to it. If it had a charity bet, I suppose it comes down to it. I just feel that Kilkenny might just get there. Now, if they're going to get it, it's going to be battle. If Tip win, I think they could really win it well. But I think the old battle inquiries of Kilkenny, they'll kind of have learned a bit from the last day. They are taking a gamble, but Joyce is in there to stop the middle if he plays. Now, he's willing to play corner wing back, and he'll use his body. I think he'll be a lot more physical today, and I just think that Kilkenny will try to stop Tip from getting on top early on, try to dictate their play, get their game going, and they should edge it out in the end.
OK, Tomas.
I'm going to change my mind, but only once, Michael, now, right? I mean, I had gone for Kilkenny from the start of the year to win the
You're going the opposite direction.
I'm going for Tipperary on the basis. I think momentum over the summer has been improving every game. They've got better every game. And what I liked most about Tipperary the last day, when they were 4 points down and almost went 5, you could have said the game was up, but they came back and there was a reaction, and they did not want to lie down. You know, so if that spirit is in there today, I think Tipperary will win.
Well, listen,
final deciding vote to you.
You know, you can say who'll win on this. It's a toss of a coin. But what I would say is every team has a life cycle, you know, and that life cycle is extended by winning. So Tip haven't beaten Kilkenny in a major game in 4 years. Now they've come close, but close doesn't count in sport. And they must beat Kilkenny while Kilkenny have the legends that are on the field and while they have a legendary manager. Their long-term and their short-term reputation depends on that. Today is the day for them to cross that line and become a really great team. Now, Kilkenny looks stronger. You know, I think they have more scope for improvement. You know, and at the end, I will side with that 39%. Because Kilkenny can still get the goals when they really need them. They did that the last day. They have done it for the last 10 years and during Cody's reign. And I just feel that maybe, if it is a toss of a coin, I'll take the side that says Kilkenny.
All right, interesting thoughts on all of that. Thanks, lads. So then, it is time to join our match commentators, and they, as you know, are Michael Duignan and first, Ger Canning.
Thank you, Michael. Even on a Saturday night at 5 at the tail end of September, there's no denying the appeal of Kilkenny and Tip Hurling clashes. They, generally speaking, bring out the best in one another, and they illustrate the finer skills of one of the world's fastest sports. That's the trophy they're playing for, of course, the Liam McCarthy Cup, first presented in 1921, and Limerick were the first winners. For the record, it's the 10th time that a replay has been needed in an All-Ireland hurling final. As far as I'm aware, only once ever before did a hurling final end level and it didn't go to extra time, or went to extra time rather than a replay, and that was 1891. And in fact, it was Kerry who won the All-Ireland hurling final that year. And that hurling final for them included a link with last Sunday's Kerry's football team, because the manager, Eamon Fitzmaurice, his great-grandfather played in that All-Ireland final of 1891, which went to extra time and Kerry won. And it was 12 years before Kerry won their first football title. I'm sure in Donegal they're probably saying they should have stuck to the hurling. Eamon O'Shea is